ZIMDEF is, I think, the biggest PPP between government and the private sector.
ZIMDEF stands for Zimbabwe Manpower Development Fund. Those of us who have been in the industry for quite some time will know that this has been a partnership between private sector and government. The concept of ZIMDEF originated way before independence, and it was developed into a Manpower Development Act in 1984. And that act has since been revised to Chapter 28 of 1996. The broad objective of ZIMDEF is to finance training and development of skilled manpower in Zimbabwe.
So our vision to that effect is to mobilize financial resources which are then channeled through the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education towards financing of manpower development in the country. And this is provided for in the Manpower Development Planning Act.
Subject to the Manpower Planning and Development Act, the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education is the fund's trustee, and the Chief Executive Officer administers the fund under the advice of the National Manpower Advisory Council and the Minister's directions.
The mission of the fund to effectively collect, manage, and disburse the statutory manpower training levy for the benefit of the stakeholders. And the main stakeholders here are the employers who endanger apprentices or take students for attachment, or employers who train on behalf of other organizations, trainees. Private, non-government institutions who offer technical and vocational training in Zimbabwe.
At ZIMDEF, our core values are integrity, transparency and loyalty, efficiency, commitment and teamwork.
ZIMDEF mobilizes resources by collecting 1% of the wage bill of companies. And then those companies that send their staff for training will get rebates.
We do also have revenue from interest from the fund's short-term investments and money from rentals, from rented property.
As enshrined in the Manpower Planning and Development Act, ZIMDEF plays a pivotal role in the development of skilled manpower for the nation. It funds polytechnic and vocational training institutions in procuring training equipment as well as infrastructural development.
Let me take a polytech like Kwekwe Poly. Whereas this poly was built by Union Carbide, but ZIMDEF built the library, which is the commerce block, which is there. It also built a hostel, which is there. And at the moment it is putting up, another workshop. And after that it is going to put up, a double-story building of laboratories. And at Harare Poly at the moment, if you go there, you will see they are finishing up a library which has got 3 stories. It has done a lot for all the polytechnics in the country.
The ZIMDEF Fund also assists in the funding of apprenticeship expenditure.
ZIMDEF pays for the school fees, that is tuition fees. It pays for the boarding fees. It also pays for the examination fees for all the apprentices in the country. Over and above that, there are also students who are recruited by the polytechnics directly who don't go through the companies. These students will have to get attached in their second year into industry. And when they are there, they are again paid by ZimDef, an allowance for them to be able to go on as they spend their year in industry. And at the same time, ZimDef also pays rebates to industry for training these students during that year.
The Management Training Bureau, MTB, established in 1984 under the Zimbabwe Manpower Planning and Development Act, has the mandate to offer short-term management courses and consultancy services in all the sectors of the economy in Zimbabwe and beyond. Funding for the Management Training Bureau was derived from the levies collected from employers in industry and commerce by ZimDef. MTB also offers excellent accommodation facilities for trainees and the public at large in a relaxing, tranquil atmosphere.
How can employers or industry access the ZimDef funds for training in their businesses so that they can enhance their workforce skills competitiveness? The fund offers industrial attachment allowances to students from polytechnics and rebates in respect of wages to employers who endanger apprentices, release skilled or semi-skilled workers for upgrade training courses, and provide training in the essential non-designated trades or occupations, which are listed.
ZimDef pays rebates to employers who provide trade testing facilities to their employees, which can amount to 100% of total expenses. Also housed at the MTB is the National Manpower Advisory Council, NAMACO, which is responsible for making investigations on issues affecting national manpower development training. One of NAMACO's major achievements was the establishment of the Zimbabwe Occupational Standard Services, ZOS, which is the mandate to bridge the gap between education training and the practical working experience. ZOS develops standards that are used to produce relevant curricular test items and skills proficiency schedules. It is important for people to know that ZimDef levies are not a cost to the employee, but the employer. Therefore, it is not deducted from the employee's salaries. As well, ZimDef does not deal directly with students or individuals on issues of industrial attachments and apprenticeship placements. ZimDef does not fund individual projects or cooperatives. And ZimDef is not a source of fees for all students, but only those who fall in its mandate, for example, apprentices.
Essentially, when we mobilize financial resources, we channel them through higher and tertiary education ministry to the different institutions, particularly those that are under the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, to support manpower development within that area.
Zimbabwe Manpower Development Fund, ZimDef, your partner in manpower development.